When we talk about spiritual awareness, there is often an assumption that enlightenment or insight must be shared, that truth becomes meaningful only when spoken aloud or validated by others. But the reality is far subtler and deeper. Your inner vulnerabilities, the fears, wounds, and intimate truths that live quietly within you, are sacred. They are not meant for public consumption, not because they are shameful, but because they are raw, alive, and profoundly personal. Sharing them indiscriminately can dilute your energy, invite judgment, or even create confusion in your own process of growth. Consider the mind of someone who is spiritually aware. You have become attuned to your own inner world, aware of the subtle movements of thought and emotion, sensitive to the currents of energy that flow through your body and consciousness. In this state, the personal becomes powerful and the private becomes essential. Every fear, every tender memory, every hidden insecurity carries with it a resonance that shapes your energy and your perception of life. These vulnerabilities are like seeds. They require careful tending, reflection, and sometimes silence to fully germinate and grow into wisdom. When we share these intimate aspects of ourselves without discernment, we risk exposing them to misunderstanding or misinterpretation. Most people operate through their own filters shaped by fear, ego, insecurity, or social conditioning. What is sacred to you may appear trivial, strange, or even threatening to someone else. Your openness, while authentic, can be met with skepticism or projection, leaving you feeling exposed, invalidated, or depleted. The very act of sharing can unwittingly weaken the potency of your inner work, scattering your energy instead of concentrating it where it is needed most, within yourself. Psychologically, there is a reason the soul protects its inner life. Vulnerability is intimate power. It contains the raw material from which insight, healing, and transformation emerge. To treat it carelessly, by making it external before it is fully integrated, is to risk losing that power. Spiritually aware individuals understand that the process of working with vulnerability is as important as the vulnerability itself. Reflection, contemplation, and integration require privacy. They demand that we hold our own space with respect and tenderness. There is also an element of trust involved. Trust in yourself, trust in your timing, trust in your own capacity to process what emerges. By keeping certain experiences and vulnerabilities sacred, you cultivate a deepened sense of inner security and resilience. You learn to navigate your inner life with discernment, knowing which truths to hold quietly and which, if any, to share when the conditions are safe and supportive. This is not about secrecy or isolation. It is about honoring the sacred architecture of your own consciousness. So, when you feel the urge to expose your deepest vulnerabilities, pause. Ask yourself, does sharing this serve my growth, or am I seeking external validation? Am I scattering my energy, or am I protecting what is sacred? The answer is often in the pause. In this space, you reclaim your power, your presence, and your ability to move through the world with integrity. Remember this, your inner vulnerabilities are sacred not because they are weak, but because they are the soil from which your wisdom and spiritual strength grow. Guard them, honor them, and let them mature within you before allowing them into the outer world. In doing so, you do not hide. You preserve the potency of your consciousness, and in that preservation, you discover the profound power of holding your own space. One of the most delicate aspects of being spiritually aware is understanding that the insights you gain, the awakenings you experience, are often fragile. They carry a kind of subtle energy that does not always translate easily into words, and they are shaped by layers of personal perception, intuition, and emotional awareness. When you feel compelled to share these insights, it can seem natural to want to explain what you have learned, to make the invisible visible. Yet, the very act of sharing can carry unintended consequences, because most people perceive spiritual knowledge through the lens of their own conditioning, biases, and fears. What is profound to you may be incomprehensible, misinterpreted, or even dismissed by someone else. Psychologically, This is rooted in the way the mind processes information. Most people operate primarily from survival patterns and habitual thinking. When confronted with experiences or understandings that go beyond the ordinary, they often unconsciously filter or distort them to fit what feels safe or familiar. A deeply personal realization, a shift in perception, or a moment of transcendence may be seen as eccentric, trivial, or even threatening. The sharing of spiritual insight, then, is not merely an act of communication, it is an energetic offering, and like any offering, it is vulnerable to being received in ways that are incomplete or distorted. Spiritually aware individuals learn to recognize the power of discretion. The insights you gain are not just ideas, they are living processes that affect your consciousness, your energy, and your emotional equilibrium. Sharing them prematurely can disrupt this delicate integration. In a sense, every insight carries with it a rhythm of internal assimilation, a period during which the mind and soul must absorb and harmonize the understanding before it is projected outward. Speaking too soon risks scattering the energy of that insight, leaving it fragmented and less potent, both for you and for anyone attempting to receive it. There is also an interpersonal dimension to consider. Spiritual insight often evokes reflection, discomfort, or even envy in others, not because they are malicious, but because it confronts them with truths they are not ready to integrate. Your revelations can inadvertently provoke resistance, judgment, or projection, and these reactions may affect your relationships in ways that are unnecessary or draining. Protecting your insights until the right context arises is not secrecy, it is wisdom. It is a recognition that timing, readiness, and relational alignment matter as much as the insight itself. Moreover, spiritual awareness thrives in internal integration before external expression. Sharing is not about hoarding knowledge or withholding truth, it is about honoring the subtle, personal process of growth. The internalization of insight allows you to embody it fully, to live it authentically, and to radiate it naturally, without the need for verbal explanation. Once this integration is complete, the lessons you carry become inherently teachable, not through argument or persuasion, but through presence, resonance, and the example of your own life. So, when you feel the urge to explain a spiritual realization, pause. Reflect on whether it serves your growth to share it now, or whether it is better cultivated internally first. The timing, the context, and the recipient's readiness are all part of this sacred discernment. Remember, this spiritual insights are delicate, living things. To protect them is not to hide them, it is to honor their depth and preserve their potency. True wisdom does not seek immediate validation, it matures quietly within, and in that maturation, it becomes a force for authentic transformation. As we move deeper into the exploration of spiritual awareness, one of the most critical lessons emerges: the importance of maintaining personal energetic boundaries. Many people assume that being spiritually open means sharing everything, every thought, feeling, and insight with others. But the truth is far more subtle and vital. Your energy is not neutral, it is a living dynamic force that flows through your mind, body, and soul. The people you allow into your inner space can influence that energy in profound ways, sometimes positively, but often in ways that drain, dilute, or distort it. When you are spiritually aware, you become sensitive to subtle currents of energy, not only your own, but those of others. This heightened perception can be a source of tremendous insight, but it also carries responsibility. Sharing your deepest experiences or vulnerabilities with someone whose energy is misaligned can create unintended consequences. Their fears, judgments, or insecurities can resonate with your energy, influencing it in ways you may not consciously realize. In effect, the openness that once felt empowering can become a conduit for emotional exhaustion, confusion, or even spiritual destabilization. Energetic boundaries are not walls, they are protective channels. They allow energy to circulate healthily within you while preventing depletion or contamination. By discerning what you share and with whom, You preserve the integrity of your inner world. Think of your energy as a reservoir. If it is constantly being poured into external spaces without conscious choice, it diminishes, leaving less for the essential work of integration, reflection, and growth. In spiritual practice, this principle is paramount. Maintaining your boundaries ensures that your energy remains yours, available for the insights, healing, and expansion that your soul requires. Psychologically, this is connected to the way humans absorb and respond to social and emotional stimuli. Each interaction carries subtle emotional exchanges. When you disclose your vulnerabilities or spiritual realizations to someone unready to receive them, you invite their unconscious patterns, projection, judgment, insecurity into your energy field. Over time, these repeated exchanges can reinforce patterns of dependency, distraction, or emotional entanglement. Boundaries act as a stabilizing force, allowing you to engage with others consciously and intentionally rather than reactively. Spiritually, maintaining energetic boundaries is also an act of respect for yourself and for the other person. It acknowledges that growth cannot be rushed, that awareness develops at its own pace, and that forcing experiences onto others can lead to miscommunication, resistance, or harm. The boundaries you hold are not about isolation, they are about creating a container where both your energy and your experiences can evolve authentically. Ultimately, the lesson is simple but profound. Your inner life is precious, and its integrity depends on how you manage your energy. Recognize when sharing is appropriate, and when silence serves your growth more powerfully than words ever could. By protecting your energetic space, you cultivate resilience, clarity, and a sense of self that is anchored in conscious awareness rather than external validation. Remember this: your energy is sacred. Guard it, honor it, and channel it with discernment. When you maintain your boundaries, you not only preserve your spiritual vitality, but also create a space where true insight, connection, and transformation can naturally emerge. Your inner world thrives when it is respected, and in that respect, your growth becomes unstoppable. When we experience profound spiritual insight, a moment of clarity, or a shift in consciousness, it is natural to feel the impulse to share it. We want validation, recognition, or acknowledgement from others. It is human to seek connection around the extraordinary moments of our inner life. But spiritually aware individuals learn that these transformative experiences are not gifts meant for immediate consumption by others. They are invitations for internal integration first. Sharing prematurely can dilute their impact, shift focus from growth to ego, and even hinder the very transformation that the experience was meant to catalyze. Transformative experiences, whether they take the form of deep realizations, moments of transcendence, or subtle shifts in perception, carry a unique energy. This energy is not merely intellectual, it is somatic, emotional, and spiritual. It courses through your body, reshaping neural pathways, opening emotional receptivity, and reconfiguring your awareness of self and world. The integration of such experiences requires reflection, contemplation, and a period of inner adjustment. If we rush to externalize them, we risk scattering the energy of transformation into the opinions, judgments, or misunderstandings of others before it has been fully absorbed within ourselves. Psychologically, the urge to share often stems from an unexamined need for validation. We may unconsciously seek acknowledgement to reassure ourselves that our experience is real, or to feel recognized for our spiritual progress. While natural, this tendency can interfere with the essence of true spiritual growth. Integration is not about proving anything. It is about assimilating insight into lived experience, so that it reshapes behavior, perception, and emotional patterns in a sustainable way. When validation becomes the goal, the transformative moment risks becoming a story rather than a lived reality. Spiritually, this principle is crucial. Every moment of awakening contains subtle lessons that require patience and discernment. The value lies not in the recognition of others, but in the depth with which you allow the experience to settle into your consciousness. Integration means reflecting on what has arisen, observing how it interacts with your fears, desires, and habitual patterns, and allowing it to inform your choices, actions, and relationships. It is in this quiet, internal work that insight matures and manifests authentically in life. Moreover, when we prioritize integration over validation, we cultivate self-reliance and inner wisdom. We learn to trust the authority of our own consciousness rather than relying on external approval to affirm our experiences. This is a cornerstone of spiritual maturity, understanding that the value of insight resides not in how it is received by others, but in how deeply it transforms the observer. So, the next time you encounter a powerful inner experience, resist the urge to immediately share it for acknowledgement. Instead, pause, reflect. Allow the energy of transformation to flow through you, reshaping your understanding and actions from the inside out. Let your growth be your own validation, not the applause or recognition of others. Remember this: transformative experiences are sacred laboratories for your consciousness. Their power is not in how loudly they are proclaimed, but in how quietly and deliberately they reshape the essence of who you are. Guard them, integrate them, and allow them to guide you toward authentic, lasting transformation. One of the most underestimated tools on the path of spiritual awareness is silence. In a world that constantly encourages expression, sharing, and external validation, silence can feel uncomfortable, even unnatural. Yet, for the spiritually aware, silence is not absence, it is presence. It is the space in which thought, emotion, and energy can settle, integrate, and reveal their deeper meaning. It is in this quiet that wisdom emerges, not through words, but through direct experience and inner reflection. When we rush to communicate every insight, every feeling, or every observation, we risk scattering the energy of our inner life. Thoughts and realizations are like sparks. They carry potential, but that potential is realized only when it is allowed to kindle understanding within. Speaking too soon, especially about matters of the soul, often diffuses the power of these sparks. Silence, by contrast, acts as a container. It holds the energy, protects it, and allows it to transform naturally. In this way, the act of holding back is not withholding, but cultivating. It is a deliberate practice of discernment, a recognition that some experiences need time to reveal their full significance. Psychologically, silence supports integration. It allows us to observe our own responses, fears, and desires without immediate interference from others' judgments or projections. In silence, we can notice the subtle patterns of the mind, recurring thoughts, emotional triggers, and hidden attachments. This observational stance fosters self-awareness and clarity, giving insight a firm foundation within us before it is externalized. By cultivating silence, we train ourselves to respond thoughtfully, rather than react impulsively, allowing wisdom to arise organically from our own inner depth. Spiritually, silence has an even more profound significance. It is the language of the soul, a medium through which the subtleties of intuition, energy, and awareness can be perceived. Many of the most important lessons in life are too subtle, too delicate, to be captured in words. They are felt, experienced, and known quietly, in the stillness of attention and presence. By embracing silence, we attune ourselves to these lessons, allowing them to shape our perception, our choices, and our understanding of the world. There is also a relational dimension to silence. By holding back certain insights, experiences, or vulnerabilities, we respect both our own boundaries and the readiness of those around us. Not everyone is prepared to receive spiritual truths or personal revelations, and forcing these experiences into dialogue prematurely can create misunderstanding, resistance, or conflict. Silence preserves integrity. It ensures that what is shared emerges from alignment and discernment, rather than impulse or the need for external recognition. Ultimately, the power of silence is transformative because it shifts the emphasis from external validation to internal wisdom. It teaches patience, presence, and trust in the natural unfolding of understanding. It cultivates a groundedness that allows insight to be embodied fully before it is expressed externally. In this quiet, the spiritually aware individual discovers that the greatest teacher is often not another person, but the stillness within. Remember this: silence is not emptiness. It is the fertile soil from which insight, clarity, and wisdom grow. Protect it, honor it, and allow it to guide you. In embracing silence, you nurture your inner life, strengthen your discernment, and prepare your consciousness to share only what is truly ready to transform the world. As spiritually aware individuals, one of the subtler lessons we learn is that the value of our inner experiences is inseparable from the context in which they are shared. Not every person is ready or able to receive the depth, sensitivity, or energy that accompanies profound insight or vulnerability. Sharing your inner truths with the wrong audience can have consequences far beyond mere misunderstanding. It can invite resistance, judgment, and even energetic entanglement, subtly altering the path of your spiritual growth. This is not about fear or secrecy. It is about discernment, the ability to recognize the right time, place, and audience for your most intimate reflections. Consider the psychology of human interaction. Every person carries unconscious filters shaped by fear, ego, past trauma, and cultural conditioning. When you share something deeply personal or spiritually significant with someone whose inner world is not aligned with yours, their response is rarely neutral. They may project their insecurities, offer criticism, or react defensively, not out of malice, but because the energy you bring challenges them in ways they cannot yet integrate. Your openness, meant to convey truth or insight, can inadvertently trigger a cascade of misunderstanding or emotional friction. Energetically, sharing with the wrong audience can be draining. Our thoughts, emotions, and spiritual insights carry a vibrational quality. When received by someone unprepared, that energy can be reflected back in ways that confuse, distort, or deplete your own field. The concept here is not mystical. It is grounded in the observable interplay of human consciousness. Boundaries and discernment act as a protective mechanism, ensuring that the delicate energy of your experiences is not dissipated in interactions that are misaligned or unreciprocated. Spiritually, there is also a karmic dimension to consider. The act of sharing is not neutral. It carries intention, projection, and consequence. If we offer our insights or vulnerabilities prematurely, we risk creating discord or resistance in others, even unintentionally. Karma, in this sense, is the natural consequence of energy exchanged without alignment. This is why wisdom has always emphasized the careful stewardship of our words and revelations. Timing, readiness, and resonance matter more than the desire to be heard or validated. Discernment in sharing also strengthens the integrity of your spiritual practice. By choosing carefully whom to trust with your inner world, you cultivate a conscious community, relationships where energy, intention, and openness are mutual. These are spaces where insight can be received, reflected, and supported rather than distorted or challenged destructively. In essence, discernment is a form of respect. Respect for your own consciousness, respect for the process of spiritual growth, and respect for the readiness of others to engage authentically. Ultimately, the lesson is clear: the wrong audience can obstruct, dilute, or even reverse the flow of insight, while the right audience can amplify understanding, growth, and connection. Spiritual awareness is not about sharing everything with everyone. It is about sharing in alignment, consciously, and with intention. Remember this: your inner life is precious, and so is the energy you carry. Sharing with discernment is not withholding, it is protecting, nurturing, and honoring the integrity of your consciousness. Choose wisely, act with awareness, and let your wisdom flow where it will be received with resonance, respect, and readiness. In this, your growth, your energy, and your spiritual journey are preserved and amplified.